There are four main anxiety management techniques that allow athletes to control their anxiety in order to maximize training and game day performance. The first of these is deep breathing. Taking slow, deep breaths allows an athlete to replenish oxygen stores in the muscles and to decrease heart rate. This can calm the performer and allow them to regain composure. This could be used by Roger Federer before a serve, as it gives him time to compose himself, and the pause could also unnerve his opponent. An alternative to taking deep breaths that has a similar effect is counting to 10, as this also reduces your heart rate and allows you to compose yourself. The second form of anxiety management is positive mental reinforcement. This is where an athlete focuses on what they can do right and what they have done right in the past, as opposed to where they need to improve or where they have gone wrong. This allows performers to regain confidence in their abilities and to calm themselves down. For example, if GB long jumper Jasmine Sawyers had a bad first two jumps, she could focus on her better pass attempt in order to regain confidence. The third form of anxiety management is biofeedback, which allows an athlete to see for themselves the physiological effects of their anxiety. As a result, these effects can be recognized and controlled easier by the performer, allowing for feelings of panic and fear to be removed. This is mainly used in high-tier athletes such as Jessica Ennis, who may do this so she can combat her nerves before an event. Another management technique is warming up. This entails performers raising their heart rate and stretching to allow for greater pliability of the muscles. Furthermore, performers sometimes look to replicate game scenarios in order to reassure themselves, almost as if they're convincing themselves that they can do this. This is often seen in tennis, as players have friendly rallies before a game to register a degree of muscle memory. The one main criticism of the most anxiety techniques is that they cannot be used during live performances. For instance, Anthony Joshua cannot just stop a fight to think about how good he is if it's not going well. Furthermore, the equipment required to properly use biofeedback can be expensive, so it's not available for everyone. Stress. Stress is defined as the psychological state produced by perceived physiological and psychological forces. It is linked to anxiety and is essentially the perception that our ability cannot match the demand of the situation. The forces or stimuli which stress originates are known as stresses. These stresses cause the hypothalamus in the brain to release many hormones, including adrenaline, which have made physiological consequences. These consequences are known as stress responses and include increases in heart rate and blood pressure, as well as the person in question being susceptible to sweating or clammy palms. Examples of stresses in a sporting sense could have been in a basketball game, where a player must score a last-second free throw in order for his team to win. In this moment, the player has the pressure of an entire team and fan base on him to score a goal, which would likely cause huge stress. However, despite its negative connotations, stress can be hugely beneficial for a performer. As seen on the stress curve graph, if an athlete is under stressed, they will become too laid back, and as a result, their performance will suffer. In a similar manner to arousal, in order to perform to the best of their ability, an athlete must be experiencing optimal stress. It is important a person does not become overstressed as well, as even being slightly overstressed can lead to exhaustion. However, according to explorable.com, when stress is perceived as uncontrollable or unmanageable, the person begins to experience a gradual to drastic decrease in performance levels. At this point, the stress can also impact their personal lives and lead to frequent breakdowns and ill health. Many sportsmen, such as Marcus Trescothick, have fallen ill as a result of sports-related stress, with the cricketer ending his England career in devastating fashion after a difficult battle with depression. Distress and eustress. As aforementioned, there is good and bad stress, known as eustress and distress respectively. Eustress is what athletes strive to achieve and results in an experience of a sense of achievement and fulfillment. It also serves as a good form of intrinsic motivation, which allows performers to have a greater desire to improve their skills and maintain focus on the task in hand. For example, eustress could be winning a strong tackle in rugby. On the other side of the spectrum, distress is where all athletes actively seek to avoid. It is a form of extreme nervousness, anxiety, and worry as a result of feeling incapable of meeting the demands of the situation. Distress inhibits performance and can leave players feeling intimidated on the pitch. Examples of distress could be getting disqualified in a 100-metre sprint or scoring an own goal in football. Causes of stress. The cause of all stress are stresses, and there are 5 main types: internal, external, personal, occupational, and sports related. Internal stress is the only form of stress directly related to the sufferer and originates from personally perceived scenarios rather than physically tangible things. Examples of this could be a lack of sleep or an urgent feeling that you are underachieving and must start improving at something. On the other hand, external stress is caused by stresses out of the control of the sufferer. Examples of these are relationship difficulties or a divorce, serious illness in the family, or bereavement, according to nibusinessinfo.co.uk. The third form of stress is personal stress. Rather than originating from certain situations, it originates from significant others, such as parents, friends, or coaches. This could be because they are putting too much pressure on you to reach a target. This could be a sporting target, like scoring a certain amount of baskets, or a personal one, like achieving good grades at school. The penultimate form of stress is occupational stress. This is generally seen in adults as it more often than not relates directly to your work. It could be that your boss has told you they are unhappy with your productivity or that they are setting an unreasonable amount of work. Finally, sport-related stress generally occurs when a performer is not able to adapt to the environment they are performing in. For a beginner, this could be a Sunday league football match with just parents as crowd, or for a more esteemed athlete, it could be the final of the Olympics with millions watching on. Effects of stress on the body. The General Adaptive Syndrome (GAS) was thought up by Saline in 1956 and explains how our bodies respond to stress. There are three components to this theory, with the first being the alarm reaction phase. This is where the fight or flight mechanism is initiated in response to a stressor. As a result, the sympathetic nervous system is stimulated, causing an increase in heart rate and breathing rate, amongst other things. The second phase is the resistance phase, where the parasympathetic nervous system is stimulated in an attempt to return the body's physiological state to normal. This allows for the body to focus resources towards dealing with the stressor. The final stage is exhaustion, where the stressor has gone on for so long the body no longer has the resources to deal with it. Consequently, the body is more likely to contract diseases and potentially die. The sympathetic nervous system is stimulated once the body knows the stressor in the alarm reaction phase. This can bring many physiological changes in the body. The most noticeable change is an increase in breathing rate. This occurs because the body needs more oxygen in order to create energy via respiration. This extra energy would allow a person to perform the fight or flight mechanism and successfully cope with the stressor, which could be an imminent 100-meter sprint. In order to further boost the chances of a person being able to do this, the oxygenated blood is diverted by the precapillary sphincters into the working muscles. This provides the muscles with more energy to act with regards to the stressor. Consequently, more energy in the muscles means more muscular tension and contractions, and according to biomac.com, muscular contractions produce up to 70% of the body's heat. These combined factors could be useful before a 1500-meter swim, as the body will be subjected to a vast temperature change when diving into the cool pool, while the longevity of the event means the athlete will require aerobic energy in the muscles. Furthermore, in order to help a person deal with the stressor, adrenaline is secreted from the adrenal glands and the medulla. It sends impulses to organs in order for them to create specific responses. In a sporting sense, this could be a rugby fullback seeing he has to make a tackle as the last man, and the adrenaline would help him concentrate purely on making that tackle. Finally, the sympathetic nervous system can lead to an increase in metabolism, which enables athletes to perform bodily functions more efficiently. One of these functions is the faster breakdown of food before an event to help store more glycogen. Marathon runners often use this to firstly help themselves carb load 10 days in advance of an event, but also to harness energy from sugary snacks during a race. The parasympathetic effects of stress. According to the General Adaptation Syndrome, the parasympathetic nervous system comes into play during the resistance phase, where the body attempts to return physiological factors back to normal. Inevitably, this means it mainly undoes the work of the sympathetic nervous system in order to help you relax. For example, breathing rate decreases. This means less oxygen entering the body to produce energy, but in sporting scenarios, athletes can collect their thoughts. Before a 100-meter sprint, Usain Bolt is seen breathing slowly and deeply. The Jamaican is obviously facing a stressor, but is in the resistance phase in order to help keep himself composed. Furthermore, muscles relax, which frees up more movement to athletes during an event. For example, if a gymnast was tensed before a floor routine, they would not be able to pull off some of the moves as fluidly as they would like to. Another factor caused by the parasympathetic nervous system is a decrease in heart rate, which occurs in order to keep an athlete calm. A high heart rate can cause an athlete to be overly psyched up for an event, but in resistance phase, the parasympathetic nervous system aims to return physiological factors to normal, with the idea the athlete can assess the situation with a calm head. It's easy to see when a footballer has a rush of blood, as they tend to dive into unnecessary tackles that can lead to red cards. Finally, blood temperature decreases. If this decrease did not occur, and a long distance runner was hot before they even started running, by the midpoint of the race they would be sweating profusely. This would result in unnecessary loss of liquids that could hamper their performance. Stresses in sport. There are five major stresses in sport, and these are competition, climate, frustration, injury, and conflict. An athlete may become stressed in a big competition environment because of the pressure put on them by the occasion and also the sheer volume of people watching. These two factors can combine to give below par performances, such as the one seen from England at the World Cup in 2014. Climate also played a big impact in the failures of the Englishmen that summer, as the climate in Rio was incomparable to that of England in terms that it was really hot and humid. This would have undoubtedly caused stress amongst the ranks as they were having to adjust to an unfamiliar environment while having all this pressure put on them from back home. Frustration can also be a major sporting stressor. It can be aimed towards yourself for making a bad pass or towards a teammate for making a stupid tackle and getting sent off. Both of these scenarios could cause frustration because they make an individual feel they need to perform better than they are, either because they aren't performing well or because they need to pick up some of the work from their reckless teammate. On the flip side of this argument, injury could cause stress as well, as a player will feel like they cannot be there for their team. The injured performer could feel robbed of an opportunity to play, or that they are letting their team down. An example of this could be Paula Radcliffe at the 2004 Olympics in Athens. The Brit was forced to retire from the marathon, leaving her feeling robbed of the opportunities to win her first Olympics medal and feeling she had let Team GB down in the medal race. Finally, conflict between teammates can cause stress. English defenders Wayne Bridge and John Terry showed an example of this after they fell out over John Terry's affair with the mother of Bridge's children. At the time, the pair were teammates at club and international level, but Bridge soon left Chelsea, causing a rift in the team. This shows conflict can be a stressor as a high-profile falling out between teammates can lead to weaker team cohesion. Controlling stress. Stress can be controlled in a similar way to anxiety. For example, deep breathing and positive mental reinforcement can help people take a moment to collect their thoughts and remind themselves of the positive work they have done. Furthermore, biofeedback helps people realize when they are getting stressed and how to manage the physiological factors of this. Physiological factors include high heart rate, measured by a heart rate monitor, or high blood pressure, measured by a sphygmomanometer. However, there are some alternative ways to control stress. According to PsychCentral.com, progressive muscle relaxation is a good method of removing stress. This is the tension and relaxation of individual muscle groups to help alleviate stress from the body. Finally, exercise is also known to release feel-good endorphins that can help people move away from the stress they are feeling at work or home and to instead focus on something more productive and better for them.